Are you thinking of studying in Canada and wish to apply for Canadian permanent residency after graduation? Well, if that is the case, then you just came to the right spot. As in today's video, we're going to talk about the various PR options for students after completion of their studies in Canada. Stay tuned for more details on the topic. Welcome back. My name is Hassan Sharik. I'm a licensed Canadian immigration advisor based in the Canadian city of Mississauga. Through my social media platforms, I upload videos on various aspects of Canadian immigration. So if that's of interest to you, do consider subscribing. The topic for today's video is how to apply for Canadian permanent residency on completion of your studies in Canada. First up, Canada is a major study destination for students from around the world. And at any given time, there are more than 500,000 international students who are enrolled in Canada. And most of these students, on completion of their studies, stay back in Canada, become permanent residents, and later on, citizens of Canada. Before we move on the topic of various PR options, an important thing to discuss is the postgraduate work permit. This is not directly a PR pathway, but this is going to be important. So the current immigration policies say that if you complete a qualification of at least 8 months or more in Canada, you become eligible for a post-study work permit. The duration of this particular work permit depends on the duration of your study. So if you have 8 months up till 2 years, or less than 2 years, between 8 months to 2 years, then the duration or the validity period of your work permit will be exactly as per your study duration. If it is 2 years or more than 2 years, then it will be 3 years. This is an open work permit, so you're entitled to work anywhere in Canada for any employer. Now, as I mentioned, that this is not directly a PR pathway, but this will be an important thing that we'll discuss later in the video. Now let's have a look at the PR stream. So broadly speaking, there are 3 major pathways available for permanent residency for graduates of Canadian institutions. First are the federal high skill programs, then we have the provincial nomination programs of Canada, and lastly, the regional focused immigration pilot programs. To begin our discussion, we'll first have a look at the federal programs. When it comes to the federal programs, the most well-known, widely known program of Express Entry, which has 3 options under it. Number 1, the Federal Skilled Worker Program category. Number 2, the Canadian Experience class. And lastly, the Skilled Trade category. First up, if we have a look at the Federal Skilled Worker Program category, this is again the most widely known program around the world. This is for people who have 12 months of work experience outside of Canada, and on a point-based system, they can apply for Canadian permanent residency. Now, many people who join Canadian institutions at the master's or postgraduate level will already have work experience. And as soon as they complete their degree in Canada, this will give them additional points, additional CRS points, comprehensive ranking score points, which will make them eligible or more competitive in the Express Entry pool. After the Federal Skilled Worker Program, we have the Canadian Experience class, so commonly known as the CEC. The requirement for this particular stream is that one must have 12 months of Canadian work experience, like experience within Canada. So this is where the benefit of postgraduate work permit will come in. So you complete your studies in Canada and say, for instance, you get 12 months of PGWP. This makes you eligible for working in Canada and gaining work experience equal to 12 months and becoming eligible for the Canadian Experience class. Now, this will increase your CRS score even more because you'll have additional points for study in Canada. You might have work experience already, and then the 12 months of Canadian work experience will increase your points even more. Then I'd like to talk about the Federal Skilled Trade category. Now, in Canada, skilled professions, skilled trades are licensed mostly by the provincial governments. If you complete a qualification in Canada, anywhere in a skilled trade, you then go on to become qualified for that particular trades licensing. Now this helps you in the way that there are specific draws conducted for trade professionals under the express entry. Once you have the licensing for your skilled trade, you will become eligible to be invited under one of those draws. And not just that, you will also have the opportunity to be invited under some trade draws by different provinces as well. Now, the second broad pathway, which is the provincial nomination programs. Canada has 13 provinces and territories. Each of these provinces and territories have their own immigration program called as the Provincial Nomination Program of Canada. Within these PNP programs, there are various streams, but almost all of these PNP programs have a stream or a category specific to the graduates of that province's educational institution. So if you study in a particular province, you become eligible for those PNP programs. And then based on your qualification from within Canada, as well as the work experience where postgraduate work permit will again become applicable, you will have better chances to have a higher score for the PNP programs. So just giving you an example, right now, the province of Saskatchewan has a PNP program where you can get additional points if you completed study within the province or if you have work experience from within the province. So if you study in the province of Saskatchewan, based on your profile, your points will increase because of the study, and then because you will have the postgraduate work permit again, you will use that work experience in Saskatchewan to increase even more points. So the PNP program for Saskatchewan will become more suitable for graduates from within Canada or from within Saskatchewan. Not just that, by doing study in a particular province, as I mentioned earlier, that the PGWP might actually be for a period of 3 years. So you can boost your points by doing work experience in Canada for other provinces as well, like they might have a requirement of more work experience. Then in terms of the PNP programs, there are many PNP programs right now which are only accepting applicants who have a job offer, who are already on a job or who have a job offer. British Columbia is a very big example of that. So see, once you complete your studies in Canada, in any province pretty much, you are in a better position to get a job offer because you will have this open work permit. The employer will not be in an issue that they have to do the paperwork at that time. So you start off working for an employer, you already have a job, and that's how you have the opportunity to be successful in a few of PNP programs where there is a requirement for a job offer. The third major category is the Regional Immigration Pilot Program that Government of Canada, in partnership with provinces and territories, have been introducing. A great example was Atlantic Immigration Pilot Program. I'm saying was because just recently it has been announced that this program will be scrapped. Just to give you an example, there is the Atlantic Immigration Pilot Program, there is the RNIP, there are other community-led programs. So these programs are made with an aim to help employers in those regions attract and retain human resource in areas that they need. So giving an example of the Atlantic Immigration Pilot Program, it comprised of various provinces. Now, if you are somebody who studied in that particular province, or like RNIP, the Rural and Northern Immigration Pilot Program, you study in one of those communities, you have an additional benefit that you will not only be eligible for the federal programs. Say, for instance, you study in Nova Scotia, which was part of AIPP. You will have the opportunity to obtain a PR under the federal programs, the PNP programs of Nova Scotia, and then also the regional pilot programs that are there. Not just that, if you graduate from some other province and then you start working in Canada and you gain skills which are in demand in that particular region, you could then apply and get a job offer from there. So these are the three broad categories, but then there are certain other things which are not direct. So first is the job offer pathway. So see for instance, once you complete your studies in Canada, you become entitled to work in Canada and you start working. After a year, your employer might be in a position where they've seen your work, that they are happy to go on the process of providing you an LMIA supported job offer, which will add points for your express entry or for a PNP program. So that is there. Also, because you're working in one part of Canada, because of those skills, you can apply to some other employer in some other part of Canada and get an LMIA based job offer. So job offer is, while after completing your studies and being on postgraduate work permit, job offer becomes another major pathway. This is job offer backed by an LMIA that helps students move toward permanent residency options on completion of their studies. And as I mentioned, that there are communities which require specific skills. If you are able to gain those skills in some other part of Canada, say for instance, you're doing a job in the province of Ontario, and then that skill is needed in one of the communities which are part of RNIP, the Rural Northern Immigration Pilot Program, now probably you will be in a better position to apply for a job where the employer will be that you're already in Canada, all they have to do is apply for an LMIA, and you know, you can very easily move into that job. So this work experience, which is transferable now, which is within Canada, will help you move towards another job which will lead you towards PR. Lastly, another indirect help that students might have is the spousal support for PR. So if you come to Canada as a student and you're married and your spouse is accompanying you, they are entitled to have an open work permit for the duration, equivalent to the duration of your study permit. This is a great opportunity. Again, your spouse can work full-time, and that can, once you complete your study and they have done some work in Canada, that will add additional points for you for your express entry application. Also, they might become eligible for a PNP program or some other program. So this is an indirect way, but this does help. Plan it right. So in a nutshell, what I can say to conclude this video is that for anybody who moves to Canada and completes an education in Canada, there are various options. PNPs, the postgraduate work permit, regional programs, but you have to plan it right. And that's the most important thing. Why you have to plan it right? Because everybody's profile is different. Somebody might only need 1 year qualification, somebody might need different. So to make the best out of your study opportunity in Canada and move towards PR, you have to do a lot of planning and see which program suits you well, and only then make the right decision. Things do change, but this planning in terms of the duration of study, what kind of study, even the location within Canada is important. Do it right, or use the services of a professional advisor for this, who can guide you better. So that's all on the topic of PR pathways for international students on completion of their study in Canada. I hope I have been able to provide some valuable information. If you like the video, do consider liking, subscribing, and sharing it. If there are questions and concerns that you have, feel free to post that in the comment section, and myself or my staff will be happy to get back to you on those queries. I will soon be back with another video on Canadian immigration. Till that time, take very good care of yourself and your loved ones. Bye bye and Allah Hafiz.